Dear diarrhea full of shit. Just playing along me, myself, and I, and no one else. So I'm so legit. Hey, Katie Boo. Hey, girl. How be you? I made an audio presentation this morning talking about a fantasy that I have about you and kind of some other information about how I'm, making some themes and, um, sizing you up with different templates that I made, you know. Just like I said, I make collages, then I make a template, then I make themes. I take a picture of the collage, I email it to myself, I can print that out. I got 3 levels of saved. Same thing goes with the themes. I can have an entire theme that I can just, have. Because, I generally use my phone, but like I said, I just do things the way that I do. Because I make my own, pictures basically. And it sounds funny, but they actually do look right. And sometimes it takes a while. It's like a day later, you're like, you know what? The panties are a little bit too big. The space between her belly button and her vagipus is too much. So you got to scrap all your efforts, and all that, and, give it some time, before you kind of settle in and do things final. But, and, as far as like that program goes, it's like if I had a front shot of you, I could use, a template, but I couldn't get your shirt off, or your sports bra. I need a computer program for that. So that's something I will look into. Like I said, get the laptop, recruit my brother-in-law to help me get set up with virus protection and VPN, and maybe I don't know. Did I already say this in another audio presentation, or did I say this in the one that I deleted? Because I said something that would be misunderstood, by Earthlings. Because like I said, I mentioned, butt cheeks, but I need to always make sure that I verify and clarify, because here on Earth, butt cheeks actually means butthole. On my planet, butt cheeks means exactly, the word butt cheeks, and butt crack in that crease where ass meets thigh. The butthole is there. You work around it. Your dick might touch it, but you do not stick your dick in it, your finger, or lick it. So I had to delete it. And it was a kind of a short, succinct little video where I just talked about, this fantasy. I'm not going to talk about that now. I'm going to do that in the morning because I deleted it and I'm not in the mood to regurgitate that shit. And I went and helped and, my dad all day today and did some stuff, so I just was like, whatever. So I'll do it tomorrow. Because I just thought of this. This is like a new fantasy that I just thought of regarding you. But I'll, get that recorded tomorrow morning and upload it. But for now, I will say that, yeah, I've finally kind of gotten around to, getting you, in some templates. I'm not going to make a collage of you because I can do that. I can take like some lower half stuff. I might not be able to get your shirt off, but, I can find a scene of you in just like your sports bra or whatever. It's like I could use that. But I just generally how I do is like I'll have you, clothed, either in jeans or, various outfits, or your spandex shorts. And then right next to that, I'll have a template. And I've got various different types, So I've got like one, it's the butt crack is too high and the hip straps are pulled up too high, where that might work for bundle baba. Well, it does work for bundle baba and it sizes up nice. It's not perfect, but it's enough, where, it works. I just left it as is. But with you, it's like I size it up. So it's like, let's try this. Let's do this one. Okay, that doesn't work. The hip straps are where they're supposed to be, but the ass cheeks still go down too low. But what I do is I'll just tilt it a little bit and it shortens the ass crack. So it's like now it works. So I've got, let's say I got the one yellow one where that would work perfect because you were stepping And I might have to flip it or do whatever I need to do. But that might actually work really good because it's you cheeked up. It's you taking a step. And then I got the other one, where I paused it, because I record it and do it where I need to, so I can be precise. Um, where your legs are like, together. So it's like kind of a more straight on shot. So I got one, I got the cheeked up shot, I got that one. That one has thong pussy hammock, that one doesn't. Those are a little bit bigger ass cheeks, but they're still teardrop shaped. So 1, 2, 3. So 2 straight on thong shots, the cheeked up thong shot. And the green panty smooth groove. And the orange one too. I can use that where you're kind of at an angle there. Because I've got them saved. I've got a couple that I got, kind of more head on and then kind of curved. And I just bring it right up to the edge and I kind of tilt it forward. So you can still kind of see a little bit of her back and like her hair. But I'm cool with that. It doesn't have to be exact, But size it up, it works nice. Now, like I said, that particular, that's bikini wear, not panty wear. And it looks good because she has it de-wedgified. But if it was to wedgify, it would just look like she had a wedgie. So she's going to have to constantly, as she's walking around, be doing the start at the top, work her fingers down the bottom, and pop, snap, always constantly be pulling that material out of her lower ass crack. When the proper way to do it, like the green, is just have enough material down low. Still high cut, but, it's hard for me to explain, but it's kind of cradling both ass cheeks, and then as she walks, her ass, gobbles that material up, and it's all the way in and all the way up. So it's got that glorious smooth groove going on, and she's got the gusset line that moves up and down when she walks and whatnot, but she's still got enough material down low where it's not a wedgie, or so it's like where that orange creamsicle colored, bikini wear, that's how it's supposed to look after it's completely wedged all the way in and all the way up. But in her case, it wasn't. So it looks good, quote unquote, but that's not actually the right kind of cut. So, but it'll work. So yeah, we're gonna make like 4 or 5 different templates with you, girl, and I've already made a few, just with readily available material. But we're gonna kind of get serious here, and then after that, I'll write you your cheesy, sappy poem, That way, on the off chance that you don't know who I am, Oh, what I should do is I'll do it because I kind of read through your comments and they're pretty lame. If you do read all your comments, you must have to read them, once a day so you don't get backlogged and have to read hundreds of comments. And most of them are just suck ass, Oh, you're the best. Oh, you're so pretty. Woo, woo, wee, wee, wah, and just, it's just horse shit. Heart emojis, the emoji with the heart eyes, and just, and then I'll write this like paragraph, long poem, So, and again, I'll word that way, because like I said, if I emailed it to you, I would do it in such a way where it didn't come off as creeper, so you could show your friends, like, look at this, and I would, it'd be like obvious, like, hey, I'm not trying to be a creep or weird, but hey, it's your future husband, you just don't know it yet, I figured out, just, but I'll just go ahead and make that public, and anybody could read it. That way it's even less creepy because it's not just directly to you, and everybody can see it, and, and you'll be flattered, and yeah, and then, whatever channel that I attach to that, you'll go check it out and it'll say something like, 0 videos, 0 uploads, 0 views, Joe Blow, 0 picture, channel made, March 30th, 2026, whatever, so be expecting that. That'll probably happen either, tomorrow or Sunday, so, yeah, then we'll kick all this off. Then I'll be like, so here's the collages I made of you. What do you think? So, Like I said, the rules get applied to me, but they don't actually apply to me. I am special. I am different. You know, how does he do it, ladies and gentlemen? But so I could make like a crude collage of you. Like I said, it's like, okay, take the lower half. Those actually are kind of hard to make, because like I said, you find out a couple days later, it's like, yeah, it looked good at first with my eyes. And, but then you take the picture with your phone and email it and stuff. And it's like, it looks a little too big. It just doesn't look right. So you're readjusted a little bit. And I hesitate to say labor intensive because that's not the right word, but it's like it takes time, you know what I mean? You know, to size it up. So and you got to get the lighting right and stuff like that, and yeah. So yeah, this whole computer program thing, it's definitely something to look into. It really is. And it might be way better and way easier, once you learn how to do it. But I'm telling you, when I say, I make collages, what probably comes to mind is those old school, wonky things where people would cut out, magazine pictures and whatnot. But like I said, my shit looks real. It really does. I mean, yes, you can tell the shading is a little bit different. And, okay, there's like the line, whatever. But, I just size this shit up and make it. And I used to do it on my computer, but it turns out even better, on my phone. Because it's like the line is like less, pronounced. But, if you look at it like at first glance, it just looks real, and then it's like you realize, okay, is that a collage? Yes, it is. But they look fucking real, dude. So, it's just like I said, it is a template. It's not, you and I removed your spandex shorts somehow with the computer and replaced it with a proper cut. That's where I'm kind of confused. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, this is like AI driven, but I'm not your average dude, so I don't want to just remove clothing and there's a generic ass. It's like, no, I need I'm looking for a specific shape, and presentation. So I just don't know how you would do that. But, maybe there's a way. But, because then you're getting into that like computer shit, it's like, computer drafting, and it's like you could come up with some pretty, creative shit. And then there's my way, it's like, yeah, just make it a little bigger, make it a little smaller, tilt it this way, tilt it that way. It's a little too wide. Okay, so tilt it to the left. It's a bit too narrow. Okay, tilt it to the right. Makes it a little bit wider. So ass crack's a little too long. Tilt it forward. We'll make it a little longer. Tilt it backwards. It's crude, but dagwam it. Fuck all that faggot ass computer shit. This shit works just fine for this boy. So anyway, I'm thinking about you, not to objectify you and make you feel like you're some sort of end product, but for now that's pretty much what we're working with here. So keep that in mind if you want to start taking more provocative poses. Like maybe your next ASMR video, maybe you just want to like stand in front of the camera, and just boop, and then turn around and just boop. Okay, I got that, and just it's up to you. You want to, but so this is for my future husband. Just walk, turn around, just straight, like just total squared up shot. Boop. Thank you. I'll use that. But I've got a lot of, and like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, Like the one, if you're kind of turned a little bit, that's fine. So, okay, there's this. What's important is the size, and the ratio. You know what I mean? If it's you kind of turn this way a little bit, and then the template that I use is just a straight on squared up back shot, that's fine. So You're probably thinking, good God, you kind of take this shit seriously, don't you? Well, like I said, uh, you know, I do not accept what is out there naturally. Porn is shit. Porn stars look like freaks. They all have Brazilian butt jobs and lip injections, and you can't hardly maintain an erection. If that's going to be your thing. You know what I mean? You know. But oh shit. I have a fetish and I have a specific tastes. So, like I said, you're a good Christian girl, but I do expect you to be kind of a diva. And I'll show you how to do it, and I think you'll be able to take to it. Because it's an attitude, it's a demeanor. It's knowing, how to bring your hip around, forward and then slow it down just at the right time. You need to know how to move your body parts in conjunction with your body. So your body needs to move a certain way, and it might need to move fast sometimes and sometimes slow. And when you move your body parts attached to your body are going to move as well. And they're going to move in different ways. And you need to have that demeanor, the look. And that doesn't just mean maintaining some whack ass, come hither look just constantly. You know what I mean? It's like you're doing your thing, you're breathing a little bit heavier, the logistics, we'll set up so your legs don't get tired and this, that, and the other, whether we're having sex, doing the smooth groove or panty butt dog thing or whatever. But, there's the physical logistics, so there's the physicality of the sensation of the body movements, the sensation, and the demeanor, which is going to include your look. But other times you might just be looking down at me, like you were, slicing bread, But other times you'll just kind of give me that, yeah, and just whatever, So, and a lot of people, that's where they go wrong. They don't know how to just be natural and let everything come together. So, there can be quote unquote boring parts, of the performance. So you don't have to always be doing that stripper thing. Strippers have good movement, like on the pole, but they're always kind of doing that. And then the music, and then they swing their hair around and shit. No, you don't have to do shit with your hair. You can if you want to, if that's how you want to get into it, but I'm just saying, So, oh, shit. I was thinking about you. Good night, sweet thing. Girly girl. So yeah, and that'll almost kind of be a turn on too, because you're this sweet, good Christian girl. And I'm a Christian boy. I just consider myself a bad one. So it'll be like, man, you have no idea how she gets down on the weekends. Yeah.